Everybody, chase a Whitmore.
Thanks, Jesse.
Okay.
Well, this man really requires no introduction, but I'm going to attempt. Anyways. So as Elliot was saying last night, he did so much in his career that when he lists out all the things that he did, sent into the agent was like, there's no way on earth you could have done all these things. So I'm going to leave it there and just let everyone know that you should all go to Wikipedia, wherever online, and really look up all the things that this man has accomplished. And I feel extremely grateful that we get to have you here, sharing some wisdom and inspiring our new crop of dancers. Yeah. So let's give a round of welcome for
Glad we're having camps like Swingin at the Savoy. There's very few camps that are out here that are preserving the art of jazz dance, vernacular dance, vintage dances. You know, you could go to camps, and the majority of the camps you will go, it's mainly what, competition, right? Am I right? Competition, which is good. It's good, but it gets more deeper than that because you want to know more about the dance and more of the lifestyle of it. And as some of us as dancers, we want to know about what some of us might want to compete, and some of us might not want to compete. Some of us want to do it for the joy of the socialness of the dancing, and to better yourself into the technique and the historical value of it. So that's the great thing about Swingin at the Savoy. They bring in a lot of instructors, a lot of new instructors that you see. And you're going to learn a lot of great new techniques and their variations of the art form, as well as the legendary. We had Norma, and we got Sugar Sullivan here, and Barbara here. I mean, see, you can get with them because they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you to get it. They're going to tell you how to get it right and how to drop it down there and make it. And it's all for your own good. You know, I mean, I had a lot of instructors of what we call tough love. Tough love. You know, you guys know about that, right? Yes? Okay. Sometime you have to determine the difference between when you're in class and learning certain techniques. The instructor, you know, you're coming in there and you might not get a step. Your brain is going crazy. What is the answer? How can I get it? And if an instructor come up to you and say, and they're on your behind, don't take it very offensively. Don't take it offensively because they're taking the time to stop and say, no, this is not right. I'm showing you the right way. I'm going to show you how to do it. That means they're taking their time. The ones that say they don't care and ignore you, then that's the ones you worry about because they don't care. Okay? So take advantage of that. Take advantage of a lot of that. It was some of the lessons some of the things I had to learn a long time ago. It was a gentleman called Bobby Johnson. You might not know. He was in the 1930s. He was he was a stunt operator, stuntman, Afro-American stuntman. He did a lot of movies like, how many of you heard of Herb Jeffries? See, you guys have to look that up, Herb Jeffries. Herb Jeffries was one of the first Afro-American black cowboys in Hollywood. And Bobby Johnson and all of them hung out together. You know, worked with Duke Ellington. They were all dancers. And I learned I worked with him. I learned Bill Robinson's, stair dance. I worked and did the whole movement. And Bobby would come and teach us. And he was giving lessons and giving us, different free lessons. And a lot of us was, oh, yeah, there's that old man up here. He's showing us these steps, these real cool steps. And we would go up and just dance. But, you know, I had a tendency, I could get it, I'd learn it, and then it would go out one ear, go in one ear, go out another. I was, oh, Bobby would be there next week. Bobby would be there, and I would learn it. You know, this went on for about 2-3 months. And okay, then I went out for a job, and it was a tap audition. And all of a sudden, the choreographer was doing some of the steps. I said, oh, that's Bill Robinson's step. Oh, double shuffles. Oh, yeah. Oh, the prance. I said, oh, yeah. Oh, but I was saying, there's something missing. And everybody was auditioning, and some of us got through the first and second cut. He said, you can learn the next few phrases. You got this job. And it was paying good. I said, oh, man, I got to get the next phrase. I'm coming back tomorrow. I got to get this phrase. I had to run over to Bobby's house. I said, we're going to go to Bobby's house. We ran over, knocked on the door. Boom, boom, boom. Bobby, you got to show us the step. And his wife said, what do you need? What do you want? Bobby in? No, Bobby passed away this morning. He was gone. I said, you got to be kidding. So I lost the gig. I lost the dance steps. And I lost a friend and instructor. So that was a valuable lesson to me. Don't take nothing for granted. If something coming your way or to learn something, especially if it's in your interest, take advantage of it. You know, stuff like that.
And this is the reason why we needed Chester here. And then I was really thinking about the questions I was going to ask you. And I felt that, you know, one thing I think that it goes unappreciated is how much of a dance historian. You're a walking encyclopedia of dance. And I do feel that because of how we acquire this dance Lindy Hop today, I feel there's a lot of things that were not taught, that were not understood. You know, so I'm just gonna do my best. I'm gonna point out a few things. I'll let you go take free association with things, you know. And I think one thing that I didn't find out personally until a little bit further in my dancing was that the whole concept of 6-count pattern and 8-count pattern, that's a creation from like the 80s. You know, people didn't learn that way. You folks never learned that way. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
No, the patterns came a long time. The 80s, you know, we have dances like, I mean, we have, how many heard of stepping? Okay, there's stepping, the Chicago stepping, there is the Michigan stroll, there's DC hand dancing. I mean, I can go on, there's different, and some of them are 6 counts and some of them 8 count. One of the things is I walked in a class, I watched the stepping class, they were beautiful steps and they were doing things, except one problem, when they were teaching, they would go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said, that's an 8-count phrase. I said, oh, okay. And this is a 6-count. I said, I think that's a 6-count phrase. No, it's 8-count phrase. No, because some of they knew how to dance. It gets lost in transition. I said, I think when I say 6-count phrase, I'm talking about the completion of the rhythm. They were counting every step. So it was coming out to be 8. And they said, this is an 8-count phrase. No, you got 8 steps inside of a 6-count phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6. It's how you do it. You have to hear the core of what it is. And when you're instruction of learning certain techniques, you have to learn the core. And that's why I tell a lot of people, sing the rhythm. Sing the rhythm. The 6-count came in, when Arthur Murray came in, because swing was becoming the hottest thing. What is this thing, swing? What is this thing, Lindy Hop? What is Lindy Hop? Everybody's, oh my God, this, you know. And it's syncopated, it moves, it breaks the barrier because it circles, it's just 360. It goes up, it goes down, you can go low. We got aerials. Some of the other dances, you're on a slot, you got to remain on the slot. St. Louis. How many heard of the Imperial? It's a dance called the Imperial, and all you dance is your partner side to side, and you're going side to side, which come from the old Ziegfeld chorus lines. That's the Imperial. But it's all swing. It's just where you learn it. But if you know where it's learning and what the music is, how to interpret it. 6 count came over a little later. I'll put it like this. Every dance is not recognized and get its proper remain until it's commercialized. I'm going to tell you this is the business side. It's commercialized. When we did tap dancing, we didn't never call it tap class. It was buck dance. You learned it. It's just like hip hop. You know, hip hop in the 80s, it came out hip hop. Oh, now we're going to go take a hip hop class. I said, I never learned hip hop in a class. I went down the street and we get all the guys in the street. That's where all the steps would come out. What is the latest steps? Whatever your latest steps were came from the urban areas. The same like tap dancing. It came out of that. Then I said, oh, they can make money off of it. Let's call it tap dance class. Okay? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Yes? An art form is never recognized until it's commercialized. That's just the fact is. And then it goes in this journey of how do you keep it going. You got to go back to the source. You got to go back to the source where it was. In this case, the Savoy Ballroom was the main source. You know, 6 count. They had always an 8 count phrase, and all of a sudden, boom. I never commercialized. That seems too hard. Let's cut 2 beats out. Okay, yeah, now we can do it. Everybody can do it. And everybody said, yeah, I can do that. Then now you're making money. So I'm just saying.
And I feel on the flip side of the kind of the commercialization of the dance that we don't really see as dancers today is that, you know, we are pretty privileged. We can hop down to a dance class. Someone's going to be there, teach me something for an hour. You know, not a lot of money. I can learn something from somebody. I can get a list of moves. But I understand that back in the days, for folks to really make it in dance, it's tough work. It's the showbiz, being an entertainer is so much more than just doing some dance classes.
Yeah.
And I understand that you've gone through a lot of that. I think Sugar and Baba shared a lot of that. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more.
Well, in order to see, like, today dancers, you guys got it made. You got video, you got digital, you got classes you could go back and forth to. If you were a great dancer or entertainer and you had to learn, I was with Charlie Atkins. I was Charlie Atkins and Honey Coles. And we used to sit down and talk about, he said, if you wanted to survive and be in the business, I got a job. Oh, wow, I got a job. Okay. Now, in order, you would do like 3 to 5 shows a day, back to back. And that's what's your job. But you're working and you're creating your act. Your act is as good as where you are. That's what they hire you. They hire you about that. And then after 4 weeks, half weeks, the manager says, oh, okay, we're going to get another act. Well, now let's you come up with a new routine. So they had to constantly come up with new routines in order to stay current, but to keep you on top of it, the act, you know. But they didn't have places, so you're working out continuously routines, and these routines are valuable. While other people had, I dance school, I'll go to the dance school and I'll learn this and I'll learn that, and it was never like that. I knew Fayard, and some of them would do like 8 shows, 9 shows a day. It'll be a movie, and you might do it in front of the movie in a live act, and then the movie repeats, and you're up there continuously doing your act. But see, that's what makes your mind click, the creativeness. A lot of people don't understand. That's where the source starts to come in. How did time steps? We had what? We just talked about Groundhog. There's Groundhog. There's Baby Lawrence. There's people like that. These guys were creators. There was of the dance. And there was another gentleman in my mind just it come to me. He was the master of the time steps. Where did the time steps come from? From the 1800s into the 1900s into the jazz idiom, you know? And this gentleman would walk in, it's gonna come out, there was a place called the Hoofers Club, and that all the dancers would hang out. And this gentleman would walk in, King Rastus Brown. Okay, King Rastus Brown would come in, and when King Rastus Brown come in, everybody would stop dancing and sit down, and he would show you what the latest step was. And this is the time step of the time, or this is the new step. He'd come in there, stay there about 30, 40 minutes, and then leave. And you got to get it right there. And you get it, and then that's the step that spread out for, we're talking about time steps. Who came out of it? Honey Coles came out of it. John Bubbles, he came out of it. Innovators that took the dance and made it more rhythmic. He was the father of rhythm dancing, and he changed the drumming for drummers. They called dropping bombs on it. He was reliable for doing stuff. And of course, Leonard Reed. I had the pleasure of working with Leonard Reed. You know, do you know who Leonard Reed is? Anybody? Okay. Who created the Shim Sham? It's Leonard Reed. Okay, very good, very good. Leonard Reed was a prominent force in the entertainment business. You know, not only a dancer, but he was a promoter. He would manage. He had people from Nat King Cole, Count Basie, Andy Kirk, you name it. This man did it all. He was like the showmanship. And I had a chance to work with him. I stayed with him, and this gentleman was like it. Can anybody tell me the original name of the Shim Sham? Huh? Correct. That's it. His name of it was called Goofus. Goofus. Goofus was the name of the Shim Sham. And what year was it made? 1926. Chicago. He was with, how many, and there's another name everybody should write down, the Whitman sisters. The Whitman sisters were a sisters act that dominated, went across the country, and had their own act of comedians, singers, dancers. That was the first job that Leonard Reed had. Leonard Reed was an orphan. He didn't know his father and mother was. He was born in a teepee, you know. So he grew up out in the streets looking at dance routines and stuff. But he was fast. He was very fast. And his friend Willie Bryan picked him up. He brought him in and took him in to the Whitman sisters. And they said, I got this guy, he can dance up a storm. I don't need another act. You know, he's, you know, she said, she said, what I'm going to do with him? Well, let him travel with the show and help out. And one day, one of the acts dropped out. I need a filler. He jumped up there and did a whole Charleston routine and tore it up. Everybody said, who is this guy? He would tear and win Charleston contests all across the country. And then they said, oh, this guy got some talent. So she kept him, Leonard Reed, by her side. And she said, I want to see how fast he can do comedy or remember lines. He said, see this funny skit? I want you to learn his line. He said, I can do that. Come back to me at the end of the week and learn the whole line. He came back in 2 days and said, I'm ready. You ready for what? Come on, I'm ready to go up there and do it. He ran the whole line, did everybody's part. He said, well, do that person line. Every day, he would learn everybody's line. Learn the dance steps. Then she threw a curve at him and said, oh, yeah, Alice Whitman said, learn her lines. He said, what? Learn her lines. He said, okay. He came back. He said, and I would like to do. She said, bow. I said, do the lines. I didn't say act like it. But he became it. And they had stuck in Chicago. There was a movie, And they had the whole routine made except one chorus. One chorus. And he said, what are we going to do? The movie's going to be over in 45 minutes. He said, oh, that ain't nothing. I could have a dance for you done, a chorus done for you. Oh, really? That's called the company down. So they're down in the basement. Called the company down while the movie out. And Willie looked at him and said, what are you doing? You're crazy. We don't have a routine. He said, yeah, but we got 28 minutes to make one up. And that's how Shim Sham became, the Goofus, you know. But he was a smart man, too. When he went around the country, he said, I can show you how you can make 4 times more money off of one dance. So when he got up on stage, he was saying, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you a brand new dance for you. And after the movie is over, he'll say, just follow me. And he'll get up and do the first phrase. Shee-ba-doop, shee-ba-doop, shabba-doop, bop-da-boop, shee-ba-doop, shabba-doop, shabba-doop, bop-da-bop, da-doop, bop, dop, dop-a-doop, bop-da-boop, ho, da-da-ba-doop, dum, da-beep. The audience went crazy. Everybody in the audience started getting them the owls. They're just doing it. And it went mad. They went crazy. Okay, show us the rest. Come back tomorrow night. Yes.
So when did they call it Shim Sham Shimmy?
Shim Sham Shimmy was done from 1926. It was 31. It was a group that stole the routine from Willie Bryan and Leonard Reed. And they were traveling across country, and everybody said, oh, we got this brand new dance called the Shim Sham. I said, Shim Sham? What are you talking about? And they were doing it. He said, that's not the Shim Sham, that's Goofus. He said, well, they're doing it down at the club. What club? The club was called the Shim Sham Club.
They were the ones that wrote the song Shim Sham Shimmy?
Say it again?
Are they the ones that wrote the song Shim Sham Shimmy?
Yeah. It was the group that stole it. The group that stole it was the dance act called the Three Little Words. 3 Little Words were the ones that stole it. And then Leonard Reed and them had to go inside the building and looked at them. They were in the audience watching them. Yeah, we want to see this new dance. You're doing it. And they said, uh-oh, the originator's here. But that now, during that time period, that is the time. What's the second step? And you push it and you push it and you cross over. That is called the Jack Wiggins step. Jack Wiggins was an old vaudeville man. Now, if you look very carefully in the original Leonard Reed book, that we push it on the 8. It's originally on the 1. That's how it got lost in transition. It got lost in transition. So when you finish, shabba-doo, bop-a-doo, bop-da-bop, bop, and everybody push on that 8, that's where they did, the 3 Little Words did. It's supposed to be shabba-doo, and a that breathe. It has a breath, and a And I said, well, why is it like that? He said, I created that breath after the TOBA break after my first wife. His wife's name was Anna. Her name was Anna Brown. So when you do this, shabba-doo, bop-a-doo, bop-da-boop, bop, Anna Brown. Anna Brown. And I said, that's pretty good, Leonard. And we were sitting up there, Savion Glover, all of us tap dancers. I said, but you can't say that now. He said, well, because you remarried. He said, oh yeah, we better say Barbara Reed. So whatever his wife was, he had to put the name in front of it. But if you go online, you'll see before he died, we were in the 1998. We're at the Orpheum Theater, Rusty Franks, me, him, and we're doing all 3 variations of the Shim Sham. And there's one you should look at. It was called The Revenge of the Shim Sham. The Revenge. You can go online and look at it. It's called The Revenge of the Shim Sham at the Orpheum Theater. Leonard Reed is doing it. He's singing it. He's doing it. And it's done on both sides. The crossovers on both sides. The man was incredible. When you see him I'm just telling you. He's Afro-American, but he does not look Afro-American. You know, he got a chance to, he done won so many contests, you know, because he got a chance to get in there when the average black person couldn't get in. Certain places we couldn't go in, he got in. Some people think Tiger Woods is the first one that got into the, it wasn't, it was Leonard Reed. Mm-hmm. He was with, what's the heavyweight boxer? Joe Louis. Joe Louis. He got Joe Louis. When Joe Louis stopped boxing, he put him in the show business. And they went to the Golf Association, and they nominated Leonard Reed in the Hall of Fame for it. He said, "Can you get my friend in?" "Well, Mr. Reed, we'd like to get your friend in, but, you know, we can't get him, you know." "What do you mean you can't get him?" "Well, you know, he's not the right, you know, the right kind. He's not the right kind." "You know what I mean, not the right kind? You got me in here." He said, "But you're different." "No, I'm not different. I'm the same as him." "You mean we signed you up?" "Yes, too late now." I mean, these are stories. They're crazy stories that they went through, the showbiz and stuff, but a lot of stuff.
So actually, while we're talking about Shim Sham, I know you always tell me how the 4 breaks that we do nowadays in Shim Sham is, you know, has been changed hands so many times. There's so many variations. You know, you're talking about the TOBA break.
Oh, TOBA, yeah, TOBA break. Or it was our code all across the United States from Association of Black Artists, you know, Theater of the Black Artists Association, you know. But if you're born in the urban, like, or vernacular of the urban, or the lingo of, like the rappers would say, or the jazz idiom would say, that's the legit way of business, the Theater of the Black Arts Association. No, we never looked to call that. We called it Tough on Black Asses. And that was the name of it, because it was, and then later on they called it either the Chitlin Circuit or the Black Belt Circuit of that time. Every step in every city had of vernacular jazz dances had a name. TOBA, since we talked about the association, they made the step. Shabba-doop, boom. That's the original old way. Then they double it up. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then they go into the double cat. 8, 1 and a 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. Number 4, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we do now. Yes? Okay? Cotton Club. 8, 1, 2, boom. And then if you're talking about bebop, when the bebop came out in the 1940s, said Baby Lawrence stuff, the tap dancers would take the same step and go, 8, it's the same step. It keeps modifying every 20, 30 years. If the music change, you change. You know, from the military half break to the bebop of it, we put same step. You just, if you know where the root of that step is, you can modify it. In the Lindy Hop, same thing.
I think one thing you touched on a lot that I think fits really well, kind of being pretty close to the home of the mission we have at Swing at the Savoy, is really for folks to know more about the history and really the folks that went in and created the dance and this evolution, so that right now it's easy for us to kind of receive a list of moves. I can, you know, print off things and check things off, but there's so much in the history of the moves, how it got to where it is today. And in addition, I feel there's also an element of kind of the spirit and attitude around the time, around the people when the dance was created.
Yeah.
You know, and I wonder if you can kind of give everyone here kind of your advice on what's the best way for us to get closer to that source, not just the move, but really all of its culture and all of the ways of being. What is the best thing that a dance student like us can do?
No, that's a good question. I had to go back to what I was doing when I was searching for the step. My mind was, I could see it, I could read about it and see pictures and stuff. I usually would go to like Sugar was saying yesterday, or they would go to the movies and look at certain things. If they saw something that hit them, they would sit there and look at the movies. And they sacrificed to sit through. The movie might be terrible, but the dance routine might be great. So you got to sit there and grab the source. I had to grab the source and learn where the source is coming from. Nowadays, what we have to do as students, my advice is to get as close as to source. Some of us had the pleasure of working with Frankie Manning. Some of us have. Some of us heard about him, they read about him. Well, who is this guy? He started all this stuff or did a lot of things? So you want to get to the closest of the people that worked with him so you can get the understanding of the technique, understanding of the feel of these different people, you know, and an understanding of that. Now, you got to understand one thing. It's different now. Some performers had it fortunate, and some of the other people dance because this is what do I do, and I got a job. This was their job. This was these people's life. Frankie danced like that. Norma danced like that. Sugar and them danced like that. Fayard, I worked with, oh God, so many people. This was a way of life. It was not like, oh, I just go to work. No, they loved it. They worked on their craft. So everything they did, they lived it. You know, and understanding what everyday life is. So they do everyday life out here. They're gonna transmit that back into their dance, and it's gonna come back out. So as teachers, I mean, as students, I feel you want to get close to the source. As I want to know why this person is good and what would make it open. It clicks inside yourself, it opens you up, and then you're gonna realize what you love about it. It had to be something that drawed you guys to this dance. It had to be that. You got to ask yourself, why do I like this dance? Why do I feel like this dance make me want to do this? You know? And there's many people out there. I see watching, I watched them. You know, I didn't just learn steps. I watched the way they lived. I hung out with them. I stayed at their house. We acted a nut. We ran out, you know. I mean, and then some of those guys, I mean, I put it like this. I was very fortunate because I learned the lifestyle of many people, you know. If I was doing something wrong, their foot was up my butt. I'm serious. Their foot was up my butt saying, you're wrong. I said, man, I'm going to be, you're wrong. Now you're going to either do it or you don't. I had to do it right because I wanted to dance. They leave me stranded, you know. So you become a family, you become a community, and they want you to do it right. And I've seen stuff from New York City. I met people in New York City. With Pepsi Bessel. I worked with George Fajon. These are, I mean, and I learned a lot from different people, you know. Even out here, we had a great dancer, Al Robinson. Al Robinson worked with Baby Lawrence. Talk about rhythmic and style. And I mean, we hooked up, and I learned so much from that gentleman. I mean, he's, you know, everybody I met, I can mentally go like this because that was part of my life. That was it. Even though, again, I did not choose to be a dancer. I'm a filmmaker. I direct films. I write. I like to create and stuff. But I had that vision. I still don't lose that. Now I learn how to utilize that into a purpose of telling stories, learning historical stuff, and passing it down to different people. And it shows you how close the jazz idiom and all of you guys are in. If you study hard enough, and all the instructors, and study the source, you're going to learn it's a close history. My first linear instructor was Archie Savage, which was his teacher was Norma Miller. I met Norma Miller in the 70s. We hooked up. We worked out together. Boom. I traveled with her. I was her legs. I walked around. I did stuff. We did stuff. I said, I put it like this. The three toughest, a lot of instructors, they could teach. Some of them, you have to really dissect. But three toughest instructors, I'm going to name them in categories. The hardest instructors, what I mean to jump on your case, really, really bad would be number 3. Number 1 is the worst. The worst one was this would go off. Number 3, John Bubbles. John Bubbles. And he said, do the step. And he's the one that taught me how to break down, look at stuff, and okay, we got it, let's do it. Move. He will go in, why did you do that step? Oh, I got a new step. I thought it was cool, and if I did it like that, you thought it was cool, huh? That sucks. I said, what do you mean it sucks? Don't put that, that's not an opening step. This is an opening step. Shift that over to here. Number 2, Norma Miller.
Oh, Norma's 2, not even 1.
Norma would be the second one.
Who's the first?
Okay. Leonard Reed. Leonard Reed would be it. These 3 people will argue, and say, and then I say, but the thing is, they give it evidence. Why are they arguing? And that makes you think. Now, this is the crazy thing. Norma, we had a global trickeration. Yes? Yes? Yeah? As you guys know, we just had global. And where did trickeration come from? It comes from the chorus girls. The chorus girls are the notations of all jazz steps. Norma learned it when she was 12. Okay? Okay? The steps were there in the 20s. It didn't get stapled until Cab Calloway came out with a song called Trickeration, 31. Norma put Frankie, Chaz, and everybody start pulling the stuff together in 2003. And we put it fully together right now. Now, Norma was up there. I worked with Norma, came back. I said, well, Norma, where did you learn trickeration on? I had a tour, but I got fired, and the educational board yanked me out of the show because I was too young. Where did she learn it from? Leonard Reed. The whole circle. So you can see where Norma gets her attitude like, no, it ain't right, and you're going to do it right. So you can see that transition.
I wish we had more time, but I was just looking up at the clock, and we got to get the class rolling. But let's hear it one more time for the one and only Chester Whitmore.